Hi everyone, it's Don and I hope you're having a fantastic day. Well, a lot of people didn't predict this and I was reading some of the comments from the judge. But while Florida has won their temporary injunction on the CDC and the federal government's lawsuit in Florida. And yeah, let's go over what exactly this means. So the judge stated a few different things that is the reason why he is granting the stay of the conditional sale order. Now, it's not over. The conditional sale order is not over. It will disappear, sort of, on the 18th of July. Now, on the 18th of July, it goes from being an order to a recommendation. So the cruise lines can choose to follow it or they don't have to follow it. They'll probably follow like the sanitation parts of it, maybe the testing parts of it, but they don't have to get Port Authority agreements and all that other stuff involved. But there's more. There's more. We'll get on to more of that in a little bit. They also say right now the judge has sent the CDC and Florida and the state back to mediation again. And they said if the CDC has until the 2nd or 3rd of July to come back with narrower conditions for that conditional sale order. At such a time, the judge may look at those and say, yes, okay, those are much better. Those are much less restrictive. And that's now the new conditional sale order. So we'll see what they put in those. They could come in and they could say, okay, we're going to lift every restriction out there, except we're going to say that the cruise lines have to have vaccinated, 95% vaccinated cruises. And the judge may go along with that, which throws another, you know what I mean? It's just, it's a whole mess. Now, when you look at some of the judge's decision on what he agreed with, he said that the Florida state was likely to succeed in the merits of their case. Remember, this is just an injunction. This isn't the actual lawsuit debating the conditional sale order. This is just a temporary injunction to stop it until the court case goes into effect and is heard and the judges make decision at that point. This temporary restraining order could be appealed also and overturned possibly. But what this does mean that if they don't come to some agreement by the 3rd and that all disappears, the cruise lines are free to do whatever they want, which might mean they're no longer going to test people. They're no longer going to social distance anybody. They're no longer going to stop the buffet the way they're doing it now with people handing it out. They're just going to pack as many people into a cruise ship as they want. And if that happens, they're just asking for trouble. And here's the reason behind that trouble. Because, yes, the CDC's conditional sale order may go away, and they don't have that authority to stop them from sailing and everything. But once they get out into the sea, if there's outbreaks on board, the CDC still has the complete authority to say, stop, quarantine everybody. You're not coming back to port, quarantine everybody on the ship. Or turn that ship around and bring it back. They do have that authority because their authority is stopping infectious disease from entering the country. So even at 1 case or 2 case, they could implement their authority just to say, all right, this is the only recourse we have. This is what we're going to do, which brings up a ton of other questions. Now, when the judge made his decision, much like the decision that you might make right now is like, hey, I decided to hit that subscribe button so I can keep up on this cruise news and keep up to all the date. Right? It's a button. It's right there. Remember, it doesn't cost anything. It doesn't cost anything to hit that little button. Hit the button so you keep up to date with all these videos and all the news, because who knows what's going to happen between now and the 3rd of July. There's so much going on. But the judge said that the Florida has lost money because of jobs and having to pay unemployment. And then the judge also cited there's a high risk and probability that the cruise lines will leave the state of Florida. I think that's a bit of a stretch. I think that's completely a bit of a stretch because they're not leaving the United States. They're not wanting to sail out of Seattle and LA and New York and New Jersey and Florida. They want to sail here. The only reason the one cruise line threatened to leave the United States was because they were told they were not allowed to ask for vaccines. That has nothing to do with the CDC. That has nothing to do with what the CDC, the cruise line wanted to implement that. That has everything to do with the state government in Florida and their law that they've passed. So for the judge to say that, that's a bit of a stretch. I don't agree. Now, if you're asking me, did the CDC overstretch their rules and boundaries on cruise lines? Absolutely. They're supposed to be protecting people from infection, getting into the country. They're supposed to be involved in sanitation. That's what they're supposed to be involved with. Not regulating when a company can start up. They can only recommend. They can only recommend to airports, theme parks, train stations, bus stations. They can only recommend. They cannot enforce those regulations. However, they shut down the cruise line for 15 months. And so, yes, they completely overstepped their boundaries. You will not deter me from that at all. At all, at all, at all. So, yes, that's where they're going to have a hard time when it does get to court. I was very surprised that they were able to get an injunction because they have to prove economic, and while the cruise lines weren't involved in this lawsuit, if the cruise lines were involved in the lawsuit, there's your financial. There's a big loss of money, etc. But the state of Florida just saying that they had to hand out unemployment, that's taxes. It's harder to prove that as an economic loss compared to the billions of dollars the cruise line was losing. But when the judge threw in, but then the cruise lines might leave for Florida. Then you're losing billions of dollars, absolutely. But at no time have the cruise lines said they will leave the state of Florida other than because of the government stance. Not the CDC stance, the government stance. So we'll see what happens. We don't even know if the CDC is going to appeal this or not. We'll see what happens when they come back with these future regulations and things like that. And who knows, the 4th of July might come up and the president's going to come out and say, yep, there's no emergency order in the United States anymore. We've beaten the pandemic, etc., etc. Look at us, cheer us on. We beat the pandemic. It's Pandemic Independence Day. And then the conditional sail order would disappear anyway. So much going on. But yeah, a lot of lawyers out there. I had 3 of them who's emailed me tonight saying, we were wrong. We didn't think this would happen. And but they all did point out that judge's decision on, the cruise lines might leave the state of Florida. And they all said the exact same thing I just did. Yeah, they didn't really threaten that. They didn't really threaten that because of the CDC or the federal government. So that being thrown into this lawsuit really didn't, those two things didn't mix in. It was like the judge was looking for things to say why he's agreeing to the state. Am I happy? I don't really care because quite frankly, I think the cruises were starting anyway. We have cruises sailing on July 2nd. We have the cruise line from Celebrity going on the 26th. Cruise lines were starting up anyway. Are they going to start faster now? No, I don't think so because they still have to crew. They still have to bring people on board. And guess what? They're still going to have to quarantine their crew members and vaccinate their crew members because they said that's what they're going to do. And if they just suddenly turn around and say, yeah, we're not going to vaccinate our crew members anymore, they may not get a lot of people going on those cruise ships. It's kind of a catch-22. They've said they want to do it. They kind of have to do it now. So yeah, now the question is, now that that sail order's gone, are the cruise lines still going to ask for vaccine passports? Carnival has said they will. Celebrity has said they will. Holland America said they will. Princess said they will. Let's see what happens. And let's see what the governor does if the cruise lines do that. Is he going to be after them now and trying to find them and things like that after being the person who's fighting for them to open? It's just, whoever thought the cruise starting would be this complicated? Whoever thought? Well, I hope you appreciate this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. You want to see more tips, more tricks, more travel vlogs from around the world? Hit that subscribe button. Till next time, have yourself a safe and a great vacation.